Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Okay, this is the second session of my lecture on intangible assets. Okay, let me proceed with the initial measurement of the intangible assets. Okay, basically an intangible asset should be measured initially at its cost. Okay, the cost of an intangible asset is determined depending on the following situations. Okay, first, separate acquisition. Second, acquisition as part of a business combination. Third, acquisition by way of a government grant. And fourth, exchange of assets. Okay, what is meant here is that the cost of intangible asset is actually determined based on how the intangible asset was acquired, whether it is acquired through separate acquisition, through business combination, by way of government grant, and through exchange of assets. Okay, let's have a look at the first one. Okay, the initial measurement of an intangible asset through separate acquisition. Okay, if an intangible asset is acquired through separate acquisition, it must be measured at its cost. Okay, the cost comprises of the purchase price and any direct costs incurred in preparing the assets for its intended use, such as import duties and legal fees. Okay, the initial cost should exclude the following. Cost of introducing a new product or service, such as advertising and promotion costs, cost of conducting a business in new locations or with new customers, and administration and general overheads. Okay, these costs should not be included in the initial cost because they are not directly incurred in acquiring an intangible asset. All right. Okay, let's have a look at these examples. Okay, here I have example 1, and example 2, which is taken from Jane Laza's textbook. Okay, let's have a look at example 1 on PSS Football Club. Okay, I give you about 1 minute to read the information given in the example. Okay, this example is about a football player, which was acquired by a PSS Football Club from another football club, known as Top Notch. Okay, the question is, since we're talking about a football player, what is intangible about a football player? As we all know, a football player is an individual, a person, so it must have a physical form. All right, so what is the intangible about this football player? Yes, the intangible is the skill of the football player. Is the skill of the football player that we are talking about. All right, so the question for this example is that which is of the above items is cost that can be capitalized or that can be included in the initial cost of an intangible asset? Okay, the answer is A. Okay, the transfer fees amounted to 5 million. Okay, why? Because the transfer fee is the cost that is incurred directly to acquire the football player. Okay, while other costs such as operational costs, medical costs, and advertising campaign, they are not directly incurred, in acquiring the football player. So they cannot be capitalized but have to be expensed off in the SOPOL. Alright, let's have a look at example 2 about TR next. Okay, I give you 1 minute to read the information given. Okay, required. Discuss the accounting treatment for the various costs incurred. Okay, the answer. Okay, the sum of RM 1 million paid for the franchise, okay, should be recognized as intangible assets. Alright, okay. So because the cost of 1 million is directly incurred to purchase or to acquire the franchise. And then the amount of RM 1.5 million spent on equipment and furniture should be recognized as PPE and depreciated over 5 years. That's because the equipment and furniture, okay, have physical forms, so they must be recognized as PPE, not as intangible assets. And then RM 300,000 spent on advertising and recruiting, okay, should be written off in the SOPO because these expenses are not directly incurred to acquire the franchise. The cost were incurred after, okay, the acquisition of the franchise. Okay. Okay, the second situation is about the business combination. Okay, so if an intangible asset is acquired through a business combination, okay, the cost of the intangibles must be measured at the fair value. Okay, at the fair value on the date of acquisition. All right, what is the meaning of business combination? Okay, business combination happens when a company acquires or purchases another company. Okay, and these companies will become a group of companies. All right. Okay, so when a company acquires another company, so it will automatically acquires all the intangible assets of another company, and the intangible assets acquired must be measured at the fair value. All right, so fair value is the market price in an active market, okay, as we all know. Okay, this is the same concept applied for the PPE and investment property. All right, and then if the current price is not available, the price of the most recent similar transaction may provide a basis to estimate the fair value. All right. All right, the third situation is, okay, when the intangible assets, okay, are acquired through government grant. Okay, the examples of intangible assets that are acquired through government grants, okay, include airport landing rights, licenses to operate telecommunication networks, radio and television stations, import licenses or quotas, or rights to access restricted resources such as crude oil. All right. These intangible assets may be acquired free of charge or for a nominal consideration. All right. So when the intangible asset, okay, is acquired by way of government grant, okay, the initial cost, okay, may be recorded at its fair value or at cost, plus any direct expenses incurred in preparing the asset for its intended use. All right. So for example, let's have a look at example 4, okay, on Metro Express. Okay, I give you 1 minute to read the information given. All right, required. Discuss the accounting treatment of the license to operate the new tram line. Okay, so what is a tram? Tram is like a train, a small train. All right, so the answer for this question, okay, RM 160 million of tram line and tram costs will be recognized as PPE, okay, because these assets have physical form, so they have to be recognized as PPE. All right, and the license, the intangible one, okay, the license can be recognized, okay, at an initial cost of RM 4 million. That is at its fair value or at RM 80,000, which is RM 25,000, okay, plus 55,000. Okay, these are the costs incurred to acquire the license. All right, the costs that are directly incurred to acquire the license is 25k plus 55k. Okay, 25 is the amount paid to the government, okay, as earnest money, and 55,000 is the legal and other administrative fees. Okay, what is the earnest money here? Okay, the earnest money is the same as deposit or money paid to confirm a contract. So it's like a deposit payment. Okay. Next, okay, the initial measurement of intangible assets, okay, that are acquired through exchange of assets. Okay, when an intangible is acquired through an exchange of assets, okay, the intangible must be initially measured at its fair value. Okay. However, if the exchange transaction lacks commercial substance, that means that does not result in a change in cash flow resulting from the transaction, okay, or the fair value, okay, of the intangible cannot be measured reliably, okay, the acquired asset will be measured at the carrying amount of the intangible asset given up. Okay, for example, company A has an established brand and company B has a patent. Okay, they decide to exchange their intangible assets. The transaction does not have any payment of cash and the fair value of the assets are unknown. So company A will measure the patent obtained from company B at the carrying amount of the brand given up. Okay, the same thing goes to company B. Okay, the company B will measure the brand obtained or acquired from company A at the carrying amount of the patent given up. Okay, so that's how we measure, okay, an intangible assets that was acquired through an exchange of asset, but the transaction has lacks of commercial substance and the fair value of the transaction cannot be, the fair value of the intangible asset cannot be measured reliably. Okay, so alright, that's all for my second session of lecture. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for listening.